Hi, I'm Jamie Miller with Champion in Command, and welcome to what I call the conversation I wish someone had sat me down and had decades ago when I was trying to get healthy. It would have saved me so much frustration, so much wasted time on approaches that did not work, and a lot of very challenging moments wondering if I'd ever actually feel good in my body again. So, this is about how to enjoy staying healthy year round without forcing your body through starvation or extreme workouts, and it's a process that can absolutely begin delivering results in the next 30 days. When I was in my 20s, I tried getting healthy a few times. So I would go to the gym, but I had no idea what to do with all of that equipment. I felt really self-conscious whenever I was in the gym and overwhelmed by all of the choices. And when it came to my diet, I didn't know how to actually use food as a tool. I just knew that it was important to maintain a healthy weight, whatever that means, and I had no understanding of how to eat specifically to support my metabolism or my goals. So eventually, I just stopped thinking about my health. And by my 30s, I made a different choice entirely. See, I got really successful at work. I was building and running an online school. I had a lot of client success, and professionally, everything was clicking. So without realizing it, my health strategy was simply to ignore my health completely. Just focus on work, push through, deal with health issues later. And through my late 20s and my early 30s, that worked to some degree or another, but by the time that I was in my late 30s, things were starting to go off the rails. My sleep wasn't good, I felt stressed and irritable like 90% of the time, and it took so much effort for me to get through a workday that by the end of it, interacting with anybody was super challenging. I didn't like who or what I saw in the mirror. I didn't have kind things to say about myself because my body just did not feel good anymore. And because of so many escalating physical symptoms that I just wasn't able to ignore after a certain point, I got to the point where I was calling off work, missing important client appointments, and delaying projects because I was at the doctor so much, paying for all of these tests to figure out what was wrong with me. And when my doctor told me that the key to my health was to take better care of my health and to reduce my stress levels, I almost laughed because stress is just a part of life, right? I seriously did not have any clue how to implement my doctor's instructions, so my bad health continued for another 14 months because I didn't understand what I needed to do to actually take care of my body or brain. And that is when Craig Gabrowski came into my life because Craig was asking me, what if we could reverse engineer his approach to fitness, nutrition, and mental focus so that anyone could learn it? He needed a curriculum designer, and that was exactly my area of expertise. And here's what I noticed about Craig. He had maintained 10 to 12% body fat naturally for decades, through his 20s, 30s, into his 40s, through COVID. No steroids, no extreme diets, and no spending his entire life at the gym. He also had a VO2 max score of 47 milliliters per kilo per minute, which if you don't know what that means, no worries, but it's basically the single best predictor of longevity and quality of life as we age. And that's a really good score for a regular person to get who's not a professional athlete. So it was literally mind-blowing to me that it's possible to eat the way that Craig eats, live the way that Craig lives, and still look the way that he looks. And he wasn't getting those results by doing a bunch of stuff that he hated or complained about. He had a system, 3 specific reinforcements that made it easy for him to just stay healthy all the time. So as we started building what would become the Fit System together, breaking down his approach, organizing it, making it learnable, something unexpected happened. I accidentally discovered how to enjoy getting healthy and staying healthy for the first time ever. Because see, when I was younger and tried doing this, I did what you might have tried doing. I was trying to eat healthy, I was trying to avoid junk food, run harder, push through the pain, embrace how much it sucked, and unsurprisingly, I hated all of that. So it was very convenient for me to put all of my focus into my career, and then I just accidentally ignored my health for like over a decade. But working working with Craig, I finally understood. The problem was not that I was getting older. The problem was that I had been fighting myself instead of just giving myself the support that I needed to thrive. And that support is what Craig calls having the right reinforcements. And having the right reinforcements is so much easier and more sustainable than trying to force extreme changes. Because here's what I discovered, and this is what I wish someone had told me back when I was a kid getting yelled at in PE class. Most people think that there's only two ways to approach health. Option one is to ignore it completely, skip exercise, eat whatever, hope for the best. Or option two, force yourself through a bunch of stuff that sucks. Extreme workouts, restrictive diets, constantly feeling hungry. But here's what nobody tells you. Both of those choices put you in the same place. Because whether you're doing nothing or doing everything the hard way, you end up on what we call the health roller coaster. Belly expanding, blood pressure rising, sleep and energy levels getting worse, and small warnings snowballing and becoming serious diagnoses. Now, I had lived both of those options, and both of them led me to the same place, feeling miserable in my body and letting down the people that I cared about. So when Craig showed me that there was actually a totally different option, it completely changed everything for me. Because here's what I learned. There really are only two ways to get healthy. The first one is to ride that health roller coaster, what I had tried, ignoring health or dealing with unsatisfied hunger, forcing yourself through workouts you hate, and patching together some kind of plan from 1,000 podcasts and influencers and YouTube videos. And this approach optimizes for temporary transformations and burnout. Now, the second way is to enjoy staying healthy year round. And this, as I discovered, is what actually works. This is where you eat food that you love while moving your body with ease and energy and activating your champion mental focus. And this is what optimizes for living your best life year after year. The magic of this second way is that you don't have to have some super strict meal plan or crazy amounts of discipline to push through hard workouts at like 5 o'clock in the morning. The magic is understanding the 3 reinforcements that make it easy instead of hard. Because see, Craig had built his foundation properly. And with that foundation, it meant that he could stay healthy year round without hating the process. So as I learned these 3 reinforcements while building the curriculum, I started getting healthy again. My body fat dropped from 30% down to the 22% range. And so much more important than that, all of the physical symptoms that led me to my doctor and optometrist in the first place started going away. I went from regularly trying to hide my bad mood to having tons of genuine patience for my clients and my family. I went from being super intimidated by the gym to feeling very confident in there and knowing exactly how to use the equipment, going 3 or 4 times a week. I went from having really bad reflexes and balance to doing pistol squats on a Bosu ball. And all of that happened because I stopped fighting myself and I started giving myself the support that I actually needed. So let me share these 3 reinforcements with you because these are the exact steps that took me from being a desk potato to consistently fit, and they're the same ones that we now teach inside of Strength Academy. The first reinforcement is to do our 10-minute wake-up routine, because here's where a lot of people go wrong, and I absolutely used to do all of this stuff on this list. They wake up feeling rough and not rested, and they immediately start pushing themselves through social media or their email inbox, and pretty soon they're feeling scattered and cranky, and then maybe they check the news, and then that creates extra stress for a whole bunch of other reasons. So they're always looking forward to the weekend or the vacation that they're going to try to go on just because regular life feels like it's such a challenge, and they're relying on snacks and energy drinks to deal with afternoon energy crashes, and then they're battling cravings instead of just making them go away in the first place. And then when they finally do go to sleep at night, they don't feel like it's easy to fall asleep, and like most of the night, not great sleep. And then they wake up in the morning and they are just starting that cycle all over again. So what you actually need is a specific morning routine that stops that cycle, helps you stay calm, focused, and energized no matter what the day throws at you. And that is very different from having coffee and some willpower, right? We're talking about an actual system. So this is why you need to spend 10 minutes when you wake up preparing yourself so that your stress and your to-do list don't drain your ability to consistently prioritize your health. Those 10 minutes in the morning are when you're putting on what we like to call mental armor. And that mental armor is what protects you, and it gives you the time and the energy to navigate all the challenges that pop up and then still have enough left in the tank after work to exercise, cook something decent, and bring your best to the ones that you love. And then reinforcement number 2 is to adjust what you eat, because it's not an option to be held back by hunger, mood swings, or cravings. In fact, the most effective meals are the ones that fuel your body and your brain for peak performance and burn fat at the same time. But the mistake that a lot of people make is they massively restrict calories, endure all of these thoughts about food, and then say something like cooking is beneath them, or it's too time consuming, or it's not as important to cook as all the other stuff on their to-do list. So then they get sucked into like meal delivery services or takeout binges, or they might also try delegating or outsourcing their food choices to an influencer or like a family member who's just supposed to magically take care of it for them. And then later, when they look at themselves in the mirror, they don't like what they see. And now they're trying to hide that shape with clothes and dressing in a different way. So people spend all of this time and energy and money dealing with the repercussions of not having a customized meal plan truly dialed in for their current metabolism. And it's heartbreaking because in reality, it's very, very simple. And you don't have to be hungry. But what you actually need is what we call your personalized sweet spot numbers. And those are the specific calorie and macro needs that match your body, your activity level, your goals, not somebody else's, yours, at this moment in time. Now, when Craig and I figured out my sweet spot numbers, I was able to release fat and then still have plenty of energy to live my life. So I was definitely not starving myself. In fact, I actually eat more food now, more calories, more carbs than I used to. So it's been a game changer to figure out food the way that I have and know how I can keep adjusting my meal plan as my body composition and my goals evolve. But the good news is it all starts with having food that you love in your kitchen. Reinforcement number 3 is to exercise at least 3 times a week. You are in the best position to resolve multiple health challenges when you're getting at least 8,000 steps a day and doing complete workouts 3 to 4 times a week. Now, complete workouts is what we use to refer to a particular sequence of activities that you could do at home, in the gym, in a park. It's very flexible, but it needs to be a complete workout. Because when you fail to show up for proper exercise, dozens of essential interconnected biological processes start backing up. It's kind of like having a to-do list that only ever gets stuff added to and very rarely gets things checked off. And if you're a high performer like me, I know you know how important it is to check things off the to-do list. You feel that, right? So trust me when I say that not doing complete workouts is creating a backed up queue of physiological functions on a cellular level, and that absolutely weakens your immune system. So the right consistent exercise is how you minimize health risks. Those are diseases, illnesses, and consequences that are easier, cheaper, and more comfortable to prevent than they are to survive with. So yes, standing up, taking walks, and gardening, those things are all a great start, but they're not the same thing as strength training or doing complete workouts 3 to 4 times a week. And if that sounds intimidating, I just want to hold space for who you're capable of becoming when you've got the right guidance and support in place. And here's what this looks like in real life when you use it. Because when Craig shared his system with me, I got to skip years of frustration and trial and error. I quickly developed skills that had already been working for Craig for decades. I didn't have to figure it out on my own. Because the truth is, there really are only 3 things that you need to enjoy staying healthy year round. First, you need to know what to do. The second thing that you need is the trust that it's going to work. The third thing that you need is support to stay consistent. Because you can spend years trying to patch together your own system from podcasts, YouTube videos, and Instagram posts, or you can use a system that's already proven to work. So what happened when I implemented what I'm sharing with you? Well, as I mentioned, my weight dropped because my body fat went from 30% down to the 22% range. And at the same time, I've maintained my muscle mass at 85 to 86 pounds. So this means that I did not throw my metabolism or my hormones into a tailspin that they then tried to have to recover from. And I didn't have like a yo-yo diet where I lost weight and then I put it back on again. So I lost the belly, my clothes fit better, feeling confident in a bikini for the first time in years, and my cardiovascular cardiovascular health has skyrocketed. I went from being totally sedentary and like unable to run to having a VO2 max score of 33 milliliters per kilo per minute, which it's not amazing, like certainly not as good as Craig's score, but that put me in the average range for the first time in my life. And if I went back and could talk to 12-year-old me who was struggling to run the presidential mile during the fitness test at school, I would have been shocked that I was capable of running without experiencing all of that pain in my body. So what's really happened is that I've gotten confident about how to move my body, how to be in the gym. I've learned how to navigate male-dominated spaces and block out distractions around me, whether it's the clothes that people are wearing, the smells or the light or the sounds that are in there, and just focus on myself. And that is what has allowed me to develop my ability to strength train, even with weight above my body weight. Also, my balance, coordination, and reflexes have gotten to the point where, as I said, I can do pistol squats on a Bosu ball, even when it's busy around me. Plus, I can go on difficult hikes for hours without rolling my ankle or spraining anything. My sleep got dramatically better, even through chaotic times. I don't get the flu or get randomly sick, lose my voice, or whatever kind of sinus congestion issues I used to have. I've also stopped wearing the glasses that I needed for over a decade. That blurriness, eye twitching, and all the strains, they've just disappeared. Plus, I've got energy for work. I have patience with clients and family, and I am not stressed about food or because of food anymore. And I'm not sharing any of this to brag with you. I'm sharing it because I want you to know what's available to you when you have the right support and the right guidance. Because right now, I am the oldest that I've ever been, and I'm also the strongest that I've ever been. And more importantly, I actually enjoy staying healthy. Everything that I'm doing is something that feels good and I want to continue. It's not something that I have to force myself through anymore or try to like summon up tons of willpower or find a way for somebody to hold me accountable to their schedule. All of these things have just become part of who I am. Because here's what I've really learned about transforming my health. The most sustainable changes don't happen by forcing yourself into a new lifestyle or doing something super extreme for like a limited period of time. They happen when you stop fighting your body, you start supporting it, and it just becomes part of who you are. Because when I was younger, I thought that I needed more discipline and a higher tolerance for pain and more willpower to push myself to do the things that I hated. But what I actually needed was the right system, implemented the right way with the right support. And that is what has made all of the difference. Because I did not push my way from being a sedentary desk potato to lifting above my body weight. I learned how to work with my body instead of against it, how to enjoy the process. And that is exactly what we teach in Strength Academy. So if you're tired of riding the health roller coaster for your own unique combination of reasons, you don't have to stay on there. Wild as it might seem, it is actually possible for you to enjoy staying healthy year-round. And that's available for you because that's exactly what we teach in Strength Academy. Strength Academy is where Craig and I guide you through developing skills with these 3 reinforcements step by step, week by week, so that staying healthy just becomes part of who you are, not something that you have to think about all the time, and definitely not something that you are fighting against constantly. Your next step is simple. You're invited to book your free 20-minute health assessment, and we'll talk about where you are right now, where you want to be, and whether Strength Academy is the right fit for you. No pressure, no hard sell, just an honest conversation about whether or not we can help. Because here's the truth. Wishing does not change your health, but becoming a champion in command does. So click the button below, book your health assessment, and let's see if we can help you enjoy staying healthy year-round without starvation, without extreme workouts, and without constantly fighting your body. I'm Jamie Miller. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you soon.